Well, welcome back to the Drive Channel, and today I'm going to go over all of the money that I've sunk into this 1992 BMW 525i wagon. And so one of the things I'm going to go over is the purchase price of the car, as well as everything that has gone wrong with it, everything that was wrong when I first got it. And spoiler alert, it's been a terrible investment. Okay, so everything wrong with the car so far. So I'm gonna just put my glasses on here because I had to write them all down. So the when I first got the car, when I first saw it, I noticed that there was a fair amount of rust along the doors. For some reason, worse on the driver's side than on the passenger side, but both the doors on either side had some rust on them. Another thing that I noticed on the car right away was that it had no mirror. So I went to go adjust the rearview mirror and, whoa, hello, there was no mirror there. But the good news is that as I was helping them clean out the garage, I found one. The one that's on this car is actually it looks like it's an aftermarket one bought at a local auto parts store, but it works extremely well. It's the exact same shape as the rear window. So what more could you ask for from a rear view mirror? So had to glue that thing on. So that was actually free. By the way, I should back up. The purchase price of the car was $4,000. So I was originally going to sell this car, try and sell it to somebody and help out the owner's widow, but it just didn't work out. I couldn't find a buyer, so I just said, okay, I'll just buy the car. The sunroof, you could hear it trying to move, but it does not work. As I've mentioned in past videos, I would have to just completely take it apart, put it back together. I don't think it's the motor or anything like that. It probably just needs to be completely relubricated. The rear hatch, the main struts are fine, but the struts on the glass, because as you know, you can open up just the glass on this car, those struts are completely worn out. So you have to hold up the glass when you open it, and so that's a little bit inconvenient, but it's very difficult to replace them because the struts themselves go into the roof, between the roof liner and the roof itself. So I even have a factory manual, and I still can't figure out, even with the manual, how exactly you replace those. So something that's seemingly easy is actually quite difficult in this car. I haven't replaced those, but that's probably maybe like $50 for new struts if I do buy them. Speaking of struts, the front shock absorbers were gone. I replaced those myself. I did the work myself, and that was like I think it was $360, including shipping, to get 2 Bilstein comforts for the front there. The computer, this trip computer over here, has completely glitched out. It was working a little bit here and there, and it has since glitched out completely. And so what I'm thinking about doing is just replacing it with the full version. This one is the cut down, sort of cheapy version of the trip computer, so it doesn't tell you your range. It doesn't tell you a few things, just your outside temperature and your date and the time. So I think I can just replace this with the updated or the upgraded version of this for maybe $100 if I find one used, and I'll get range and I'll get a few more features, which I'll probably use, particularly the range. Radio code, still don't have it. This particular radio was made by Pioneer. It is absolutely impossible to get a radio code. I talked to BMW of North America. I talked to the dealership. I talked to the dealership where this car was purchased from originally. No one has this radio code. It's unbelievable. And it's an original radio, which I no doubt works. So it's a real shame that I have a useless radio here. So that's annoying. No money involved in that, just a lot of time wasted. Let's see, it has an oil leak in the front. Haven't fixed that yet. It's looks like it's leaking off of something that has to do with the timing chain tensioner. So I'm gonna have to take a look at that. AC is not working, as I mentioned. So the AC. The problem with the AC with this car is that it's an R12. So the R134, you could buy it anywhere, buy it at the parts store, pretty cheap. But in this case, this was the cutoff year for the R12, and yes, it has R12, and R12 for refrigerant you can get, but it's very expensive. So the air conditioning compressor is cheap. If I had to replace the condenser, that would be cheap too. I don't think I do. I think there's no leak. I think it's just a bad compressor. But the real challenge is going to be the R12. So that's going to be not so much fun. Let's see. The wheels, as you may have noticed, that this car has wheels, or had wheels when I first took delivery of it, that were aftermarket. It actually has some OZ wheels that were from the time when this car was new. I think the family bought them maybe 2 years after this car was new, and they're in horrible shape from a paint standpoint. So aesthetically, they're bad. I'm going to redo those. It'll probably cost me maybe $600-700 to get them completely repainted. I had to buy new. It has little circles on the center cap, which are made of carbon fiber. Amazingly, I was able to find them, and they were maybe 60 quid or something like that. So let's see. The number one big thing that costed me money for this was the transmission. As you can see, the car was running fine now, but just before leaving for Europe, my transmission completely failed on this car. So I had to replace the transmission. I had it sent over. First, I had it sent to the BMW dealership. They charged me $360 just to tell me that my transmission was shot. To be honest, I thought that there was just something small like the drive shaft or something just, decoupled or something like that. But that was not the case. It was the transmission. So I had it sent to a transmission specialist, and I bought a used transmission. And that was like $600 shipped to the transmission place. But it showed up without a torque converter. So I bought a new torque converter, which was remarkably cheap. It was like $214 for a torque converter. And then the transmission specialist only charged me $1,200 to put the transmission in the car. And it's been running great ever since. So that's the total right now. I'll put the total on the screen, and as you could imagine, this car is not really worth a lot of money, maybe $5,000-6,000 at the most, and I'm well north of that in terms of what I own the car for. So not a great investment. There's an effect called the Bader-Manheim effect, and what that is that when you learn something, all of a sudden, after learning it, that you see it everywhere. But I find that there's one for cars as well. So if you buy a car, let's say you buy a black Honda Civic, all of a sudden you'll start seeing black Honda Civics everywhere. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true for this E34 BMW. Not only have I not seen any E34 wagons, I haven't seen any sedans. And the bottom line is, its time has passed. The cars. I think they sold something like 600,000 E34 BMWs, 600,000 worldwide, and you just don't see any of them anymore, unfortunately. And that's sad for two reasons. One, because like I said in the past, this is peak BMW, and it's a shame that they're just off the road. Its time has come and its time has passed. The second thing that's kind of sad is the fact that there's that all those cars were treated as though they were disposable. Cars need not be so disposable. The previous owner for this car stubbornly held on to it for 32 years after buying it new. 32 years with the same car. And why not? What's not to like about the car? Granted, the owner was somewhat elderly towards the end and didn't quite fix some of the things that needed to be fixed, but then it wound up in my hands, and I'm fixing all of them. So hopefully this car will, because it's been such a delight to drive and a delight to own, I'm going to keep it for quite a while. So if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and I'll probably be doing some videos, more videos on the Ferrari and some on the Aston Martin as well. And stick with me, and we'll keep on making videos if you keep watching.